We'll wait a couple of more minutes. I know we said 1 o'clock, and people are just coming on. You know, it's kind of like in the waiting room when you make the appointment with the doctor. This is my chance to get back at every doctor who ever told me to show up at 1 o'clock and didn't see me till 1:45. No, I won't punish you like that. So I'll just wait a couple of more minutes if you don't mind. We got a really good presentation, you know, for those of you who are interested, who've thought about or haven't even thought about at all, adding virtual consultation to your practice. Hey, it's not something that's new. It's been around for a few years now. It's already been adopted in, you know, pretty much every insurance company now is advocating for it, and they're actually paying for it. There's actually a billable code for it now because they found out that it's actually cheaper for them to pay $45 for a visit than it is $99. I do understand that I'm dealing with MDs in this case, but I wanted to show you and talk about ways that you as a chiropractor can take advantage of adding virtual consultation. Hey, I see we've got a couple of, hey, Andrew, Dr. Cehck. Hey, thanks for coming on board. I know that you have been looking at adding it to your practice. So I'm hoping to see that you move step, and you want to stay till the end because I have a really cool information at the end. I spoke with one of the, okay, so hey, look, we got somebody on camera there. Somebody wearing a pink shirt.
It's me.
Oh, what's up, Andrew? What is going on, my friend? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? I don't even know.
I can't see you.
All right.
I think I've got, you're the only one brave enough to come on camera. If I had hair like that, I would as well.
Oh, whatever. I don't care.
Man, hey, you know, it takes a real man to wear pink.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Hey, so if you can hear me just fine, if you don't mind there, Andrew, because I have everybody on mute. Because as you get you know, a large crowd in there, it sounds like CNN and Fox. You know, when they have opposing sides, you never hear anyone. So good, you can hear me. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I respect everyone's time. It's gonna take about. I pushed it to 45 minutes. That gives some room for everyone if they have questions. If you have questions along the way, pop them in the the taskbar there and ask away. If it's something that's relevant to that topic right at that moment, I will cover it if I can. If I'm on a roll, but we'll make sure that we get all your questions answered by the end of the presentation. And Elizabeth is on here with Ergo-Flex. If you have any questions that maybe you want to direct towards for her helping out, she could certainly do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And first, I want to say thank everybody for taking the time because, hey, I know that being a chiropractor is you're being pulled in all different directions. That you're getting phone calls from marketers, you're getting phone calls from bill collectors, patients, staff calling in, and in numerous occasions. So the fact that you took the time to come on this presentation tells me that you value the information that I'm going to give you. So hopefully I did it justice and shared information that you find valuable. So I want to say thank you for Ergo-Flex for sponsoring it. They asked me if I would do a presentation. I gladly did it because I see it as valuable in other realms of outside of chiropractic, how they are using them in the DPC models and stuff. And I was like, wow, I think chiropractors can use these same things. So we're going to talk about the main things. There's 3 things that I've seen that anyone in an appointment and local business that they struggle with. And one of them is no-show rates. The other one is they are limited to their scope of the area they're in. The chiropractors fall in that area depending on what type of chiropractic or services you offer. Most of the time, people are not going to drive 5 hours to come to your location unless you're that good. If you wear a pink shirt like Dr. and a Cehck there, you might. So this is probably the most beautiful lobby that I've seen, but I bet you the chiropractor who founded and created this practice, he doesn't think it's so beautiful. And you want to know why? because it's empty. In an empty place, it may look beautiful to you, but if the person, when the doctor shows up and he's expecting to see patients in that area and it's empty, that's a bad start for any day. If you agree, put a number 1 in the comments there. And if you've ever had a day that's been like that, and you're like, wow, so is today the last day that I'm ever going to have a client show up? Every doctor, every business has felt this way. You don't feel any different than all of us. So we're going to try to figure out what are some of the reasons why patients that make appointments don't show up, how you can reach out and grab people that are that are a little bit distanced from you, and how you can stand out from the crowd. That's going to require that you have a paradigm shift and that you look at things a little bit differently. I know that we are, most of the people that I see the names on here, I recognize some of them. You've already stepped outside and done that part. You're looking at integrating your practice, maybe moving away from an insurance, and that in itself is a paradigm shift, and it's learning something new, and it's uncomfortable. So congratulations for you doing that. And this is just going to be something that adds on to if you're already doing that, or if you're considering doing that, or if you're not doing that, it's just going to be a way for you to connect with your patients and give them a new way to communicate with you. So if you want to know if this is for you, this is for you if you're looking for a way to increase your show-up rates, if you want to expand your reach for your practice, and if you're looking for new efficient ways to generate more revenue. By the time we end this, I should hopefully answer those questions in your mind. So before we do that, I just kind of give you a little dossier of mine. I'm not going to bore you with that, but I've worked with thousands of different business models, different types, mostly in the health and wellness. But pretty much every business that I worked with was in the business of accepting appointments. And what I learned from them is the top complaints that they had, there was 3 of them that every one of them had, and it's probably most likely the ones that you have. These are in your top 10, I'm pretty certain. Number 1 is when someone makes an appointment, they don't show up. That is the most frustrating thing for you to pay a marketer. You do your work, you're going out doing your part, and you generate people that sign up and say they want to come see you. They got a problem that you can fix, and they don't show up. So we're going to talk about that, and that's not anything new for you, for other people too. Another thing is when you're a local business, local meaning that, dentists and chiropractors, they service that community. They are working in that community. They're helping people in that community. It's not that you can't help people outside of that community. It's pretty much, if depending on the type of practice you have, you're working with people that are within, a certain driving distance. So we're going to talk about how you can expand that reach. And I think it's a really cool way of doing it. And lastly, that they look like everybody else. So if you've probably seen it, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or any YouTube, you have seen some flavor of a stem cell or integrated or regenerative medicine advertisement for a dinner or an educational slot. I see them pretty much 10 to 20 a day just in our area. And it's not that it doesn't work. It's not that it's not valuable. It's just at some point, like all things, there comes a saturation point. And then when everyone's doing the exact same thing, you become a commodity. And then people start shopping on price. And then it's just a race to the bottom. So hopefully I'm going to show you something that's going to help you not only stand out where you're not like other people, but where you also can offer them other services and generate other revenues all at the same time. So we're going to try to do that. So we're going to start off with the first thing, and that is, how do we improve no-show rates? Well, there's several ways to improve your no-show rates. The one that I'm going to focus on is offering them something that helps them, or an alternative. But there are ways such as, follow-up system. Do you have a follow-up system? Being in this business of marketing, working with people and seeing different business models, you just automatically assume that they would follow up with people, that they'd have an email follow-up campaign, they would have a phone call follow-up, and they'd have a text messaging follow-up that was more than one phone call or one text or one email. that actually worked, right? And that somebody was trained enough that when you got somebody on the phone, how you convince them that that appointment that they made 2 weeks, maybe even a month ago, is still important to them. So there's all of those things are things that you have to do. You have to have a follow-up system or reminder system for them because, hey, at the end of the day, the reason that patients miss appointments is simply because it's inconvenient. I mean, life is busy, and it seems like it just gets busier and busier for all of us. And if you can relate in your own business, your own thing, if you have an appointment, have you had to reschedule? Have you missed an appointment? And it's all because it's inconvenient. So whenever you are realize that there's a problem out there, and this problem is patients want to get fixed, they would not have I truly believe they would not have set up an appointment with you simply to just piss you off and not show up. They really need to have a problem. It was inconvenient. So now the problem moves a little bit. Before you can solve the actual problem they have another problem that they showed you, and you have to fix the inconvenientness of that, if that's a word. And that is offering a convenient solution. So you now fix the problem that there's an alternative way for them to actually make an appointment with you. Now, before I go any further, I want to address the obvious thing in the room, that in chiropractics and in most medicine, especially in the wellness center, it requires hands-on, right? So this is what, from here forward in this presentation, look at what I'm about to show you in this way, that it's, number one, it's not a replacement for care, right? Look at it as a way for you to build a connection with the person, right? When you are trying to work with someone in any business, they first want to like you. So your first order of business is figuring out how do you get people to like you. I know that's counterproductive to what you heard, but people have to like the person. Unless you're the only person that can fix their problem, then they may not still like you, but they'll use you. But they definitely have to trust you and connect with you. And look at these virtual appointments as a way to build that connection and build that trust. You don't really need to communicate with people that long to show them, number one, that you're competent, and number two, that you care. So look at it in a way of, maybe I'm not gonna offer, I'm not gonna be able to put my hands on them in this case, but you will be able to build the most important thing, and that is a connection, and you solve a problem for them. So what I mean by that is, let's say that someone comes in, schedules an appointment with you, and they call back and they maybe reschedule. You know, when someone reschedules, the likelihood of them showing up for the next appointment dramatically drop, even from the first one. So one of the things you could do is say, hey, we know it's inconvenient for you, because that's the number one problem why people don't show up. Hey, what if I told you we have a phone app where we can do an initial consultation and find out about what you have, your problem, and see if we can talk it through, and you don't even have to come to the office. You can do it from the convenience of your home. Maybe you're at work and you don't want to leave, or maybe you're in so much pain that you just can't get in the truck and push the gas pedal or push the brake. You don't have someone to come. So offering someone a solution to the problem of inconvenience is the way that you're going to do that, is using virtual medicine or virtual visit. And if you're apt to do so, you can also offer it in the flexible hours. Maybe your office is closed, and maybe they have a job that works late, and it's always the time that your office is closed. You have the ability to do it from your home. Talk to them virtually through medicine. So these are some of the ways that you can increase your show up rate, because now you've talked to these people, and now you talk to them and you find out, yeah, that's not a good client. Well, you didn't waste your time. You could limit the amount of time that you do these virtual visits to 15, 20, 30 minutes. And if they are a potential client, you could certainly, or patient, you could certainly make the presentation longer. Hey, if you have any questions as I go through here, I know I talk fast but think slow, so feel free to put any questions that you may have along the way. If you have any reservations about it, feel free to do that. And again, thanks everybody for coming on. I see we got Mary She just came on. Thanks for coming on, Mary. We're talking about how we can increase the show-up rates. And one of the ways is fix a problem that they have, which is inconvenience. And it'd be more convenient for you to just speak with them over the phone. But one of the cool things that I want to talk about is, check this out. 82% of the surveyed patients in the United States, I got this from a Massachusetts Institute for Medical Studies, surveyed that 82% of all patients in the U.S. would use teleservices. So we know we have an audience that's readily ready to adopt it. So we don't have to wonder, would they do it? They're already doing it now, and is surveying people who aren't doing it, said that they would certainly do it. 76% of patient care, more about getting access to health care than human interaction. Now, this part right here, I have to say, there is a huge value in the touch of a doctor and interaction, right? So again, I'm not advocating for it replacing. It's just adding and on to a service and building that connection, and look at it as an added value and a way for you to stand out. And 20% of Americans, this is a big number. 20% of Americans live in rural areas without access to specialized medical services. That's a huge number. In fact, that's one of the next areas that I want to talk about that is really exciting, that especially if you're doing integrative medicine and you're doing these talks, and if you've had one of those weekends where no one showed up or one person showed up and you were super nervous, most likely because there was 19 other people giving free meals, and then it was just, what meal did they want better? Did they want Italian or sushi, depending on that person? All of these things are factors that could go into all of those people that are around you doing the same thing. I'm suggesting that you have the ability to reach out to people that maybe, again, it goes back to convenience. So think about people who live in underserved areas that maybe you, for example, if you've ever been to Andy Barlow's, he lives in Tupelo, Mississippi, definitely a bigger city than I thought, but they are surrounded by underserved areas. And Dr. Barlow decided that he would own all of those surrounding areas. And if you've ever been to his office and you see how busy it is, it's because he figured out a way to service those areas. Now, if you have a budget like he has, you can run television and radio ads. I'm talking, you never know where someone is in the season of their business, starting out with their resources, their budget, revamping. Maybe they're starting an integrated business, starting from scratch. So this is going to be a useful way for you to just reach out to the people and run mailer campaigns and stuff. So I'll get to that part here in a second, but it's approximately 62 million Americans who, that's 1 out of 5 who live in a rural area, right? So that means less competition for a huge market. And I don't need to tell you, if you get in early and you capture a market and you own it, and as long as you continue to advertise and service those people, it's hard for someone to take it away from you. I'm sure that it would be very difficult for somebody to pry all of those patients that Dr. Barlow in Tupelo, Mississippi has garnered their trust. And I'm pretty certain that he'll put up a good fight. So you have less competition, right? So you're like, well, how do I get to these underserved areas? The same way you're getting to the people in the saturated areas. Send out mailers, right? But send out these mailers. Check this out. You can send out a mailer to all of these people and tell them, look, basically, you don't have to leave your home. And we could talk about that, your knee pain. I could teach you everything you could do. You can invite them to, after you do a speaking engagement, you can tell them to download the application. You have so many options that you could talk to these people. That doesn't require that they actually come in. I just noticed that I spelled, and if I have all the A students on here, there's at least one A student on here that noticed that that doesn't say virtual visit, that says visual visit. So it is a visual visit, but it meant to say virtual visit. So I apologize on that. So these virtual visits, you have the ability to service somebody that's maybe a little bit outside of the area that you would normally service. and build relationships with those. And I'm here to tell you, because I used to stay in a rural area in the summers with my grandfather, and those communities are connected like big time. They communicate, and if one person finds somebody they trust, regardless of what it is, from buying a car to buying food, they all tell one another. So you have that tell a friend, tell a phone, tell another person type thing, that in those communities. And also, you can get very, very affordable advertising in those small publications that are in those outlying areas that you could advertise for those people to get a virtual visit. So you're telling these people that they don't actually have to come to a hotel. You have to remember the mindset of those people outside there. There is a reason that those people live in the middle of nowhere, or they live further away from people because they don't like people. So to ask those people to come to a hotel full of people that they don't like is going against what they don't. That's why they moved out there. But those people still need to be serviced. Those people still have need back and chronic pain issues that they're unaware of, and that they have their local doctor that's probably advocating something that you wouldn't advocate for. So you start seeing these. If you agree with what I'm saying, just put a 2 in there, so at least I know somebody's listening, and at least one person agrees with the assessment. And if you have tried this, or you are working with people in the rural areas and you're having success, let me know. Hey, thanks, Shelly. Thanks for coming on and making that comment. So these areas, at the end of the day, it's never about money. I'm pretty certain that everybody that's on this call got into medicine because they cared about making an impact. So if you hear me talk about money, your practice does not run on hopes and dreams. It runs on money. What's deep inside of you run on those things, and you do it. So I have to speak to both. The one that is the lifeblood of your practice, because if your practice has no money, you can have all the hopes and dreams and ostrich feathers and all of that you puffy clouds, your business will die. So we have to figure out ways that we can generate money. So that leads us into how do you use this technology to increase the revenue for your practice? Well, the first 2 ways, if you just increase your show up rate by 10%, if you had 100 people schedule an appointment, and out of those 100 people, 25 of them was scheduled to come in, or I'm sorry, out of 100 people were scheduled in your month, and out of those 100 people, only 50 of those people actually showed up to the appointment, but we were able to increase the show up rate by 10%. But actually, using the virtual visit, you were able to get on the phone, increase 10 new people that you got to do. What would 10 new customers do just because you added on a feature that's super easy, that makes you stand out? Do you think that would help you increase revenue? So that alone would help you increase revenue. Now, stepping outside of your current area that you're working in, that you maybe have grown up in, that you know people and friends, and stepping outside and kind of expanding it out, just that alone should help increase it. But I'm going to talk about a couple of other things that can help increase your profits, or maximize your profit potential. So maybe it doesn't generate any new leads at all, but it does take the current leads that you have. So current customers that maybe were in your pipeline, and now you can send an email out to those people and say, hey, I wanted to let you know that I have a new service, hadn't heard from you. I wanted to offer you and just catch up with you. Download it onto your phone, and let's jump on a 15-minute free virtual visit, right? You get a number of those people. Let's say you have 300, 10% of them, 30 of them download it and schedule an appointment with you, and they attend it. And you're talking to the 30 of those people, and 10 of those people reveal to you that they've been considering stem cells, and they are therapy or regenerative therapy or whatever flavor there. And they weren't aware you actually did that. And now you now have 10 new clients for your regenerative medicine practice, or just if you're not in the regenerative medicine, 10 new people that said, hey, you know what, I've been meaning to come see you. and now you revive them. So it's something new. And now, more importantly, for every person that downloads your app, you are on their phone. And I'm telling you, you think about this. It used to be when you lost your wallet, it was like the end of the world. But now if you lose your phone, like that's way worse than, you're like, if you had to lose one, which would you rather lose, your phone or your wallet? Because we don't carry cash in our wallet anymore, right? So maybe the phone is your lifeblood. So you are going to be on a device that they're not going to leave home without. So that's always a good thing. So you can reach out to your previous customers, let them know that you have a new service, you have a new topic that you can talk with them. And at the end, I'm going to cover a little bit about what you would, because your staff is going to have to be on board with this too, because they're going to carry the heavy load of re-educating people on how to download it and all of those types of things, especially if the people that are going to download it aren't tech people. So this is the cool part though, right? So let's say if you're in integrative medicine, if you're doing it, just pop a number 3 in there. That way I know that you are one of those people. And at least I have one person on here that's doing integrated medicine. This is the cool part, right? So when you are doing stem cell injections, for example, right, and you're building out a care plan of value, right? There's several different care plans that people build out. Let's say you have care plan number 1 or office number 1, and office number 1 says, hey, for $3,500, we give you a shot, and that's it, right? $3,500, client looks at that and they go, okay, that's a shot, right? Let's say we take now practice number 2. Practice number 2 says, oh, well, we give you a shot, and then we put you on things like the knee on track, or the brain and body O2, or the back on track, all automated equipment that doesn't require you to do hardly anything at all other than to add it to your care plan, right? And you explain to them when you come in, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you on the knee on track, the back on track, always the O2. And all of those, and maybe you add a booster shot, right? And those things minus the booster shot cost you nothing if you have the equipment already. If you already have the equipment, what does it cost you? The staff putting them on there? You have them come in the office. Number 2, this is what it does. It helps increase the chances or likelihood that they're gonna feel better. It's gonna solve the problem that they came for, right? So now you got care plan, and you go through it, and they say, and they're matching it up to, I got a shot over here. Let me tell you something. If somebody told you it was just a shot and that's all they did, even me as a person who's in there, that doesn't seem like that's enough. For $3,500, one shot, but there are people doing it, right? Now you take the other one, and now you're able to tell them, well, you get the shot, you get this back on track, or if it was a knee, you get on the knee decompression. You're able to tell them, you show them the benefits of how it does. It makes a shot, giving it easier. You're building out this care plan, and now that is $5,500, right? It's equipment you already have. I'm probably not saying anything different, reinforcing what you already know. That when you build a care plan, you have to build this value into it, but not just value that it's going to help solve the problem, not just charge a lot of money and expect that the stem cell shot alone will do it, even if it does. You got to remember the psyche, the placebo is real. And the more that you can add on to it, the more that you can get them coming in, the more that you can get them to communicate with your staff, the more that they connect with you, the higher likelihood that they're going to refer their family, friends to you, because you're showing them how much you care. And you're able to, your staff is able to gauge them and ask them. I was like, oh, my knees. Like, were you carrying groceries upstairs for your wife again? Yeah. I was like, remember, we talked about not doing that. That's going to be an issue if you continue to do that. So it takes the responsibility, it puts it back on them too when you're communicating with that. So that's and then you have the third one, and third one is going to be your plan, right? It's going to have all of those other things, but it's also going to have virtual visits, and you're going to put that inside of
Jenny Richardson.
You're going to follow up with
Cross.
Maybe just the 15 minutes.
Fine, how you
Hey,
doing?
Randall, just checking in. Let's see, what you got going on. They start explaining to you.
What day are you looking for?
When you're talking to him, guess who's in the background? Their uncles, aunts, cousin, their friend from work. They want to, if you didn't mind, they want to talk to you about it. And hey,
how
if you don't think these things happen, you're fooling
3
yourself.
o'clock this afternoon?
This is real life stuff. people do that. They get on a call. They got their friends over. They need to take the call. They told them, hey, I'm going to talk to my doctor who helps me with this. And they're like, well, heck, I got questions. Wouldn't you be happy to answer those questions? The answer is absolutely. But now your care plan is $15,000, right? $15,000, because you're building in all of this value and your service, and your time is valuable as well. So, and that $15,000 number is, I just pulled it out. It doesn't have to be. It could be 8,500, 9,500. It's I know that Dr. Barlow, I think when I was there this past month, 21,300. I think that's what he got. And while we were there, he got 2 checks for that. So 42,600 is not a bad way to start a morning. I think it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. So if this stuff works, hey, Dr. Cross, please turn off your speaker. We can hear everything. Oh, okay, so I guess Dr. Cross, do we have your speaker on there? Let me see if I could mute you myself. I don't know if that helped. Let me know if that helped. See, somebody's having a phone conversation while you're on here. So let me see. Did that help? Let me know in the thing there if that helped, Donnie, before I go on. I don't want to... if you could just put in a comment there, hey, sorry for that. Yep, it worked. Okay, great. Hey, and if it happens to happen again, just let me know. I'll look in through here and see if someone is. Hopefully, they were having a good conversation, though. I'd like to hear that. So it'll increase your care plan value as well, is one of those things. And hey, there is nothing stopping you from charging for a virtual visit, right? So every practice is different from functional. There's practices out there that work with functional medicine, that do diets, that work with anti-aging, that involves the face. Hey, look, this is a great way to augment a service where you could charge people for a virtual visit. And like I said in the earlier, there is a code. Now, I'm not the expert in code. I just know that there is a billable code. Now, I don't know if it applies to your profession or your state, but you can look that up, that they add that insurance, if you're a person who does take insurance, that you can actually get reimbursed for the a virtual visit. And I think it was like $46, $7, so what a normal office visit is. But you can do that. You could do things such as, hey, add your previous clients. Tell them, hey, look, I have an unlimited, this is going to sound scary to you first, what I'm about to tell you. I have a plan for all of my previous patients. Maybe when your patient is all done, they're all better, right? How do you keep making money off of them? This is what you do. You tell them, hey, look, I have an unlimited plan for virtual visits, and it's only $20 a month. And as long as you're in my care plan, if you happen to come back for any other services, you get a 25% discount on everything anything that you do, as long as you maintain your membership as a virtual visit person. It's $20. I don't need to tell you, I built a separate business where we did this exact same thing when we would close out a client, but it was only $9.99. But we had 3,200 people paying us $9.99. So you can do the math on that, how much that, and it was all free. And very rarely, if ever, did they call, but it was there if they needed it. So what we would do, just to add the value, is once a month we would send them a message saying, hey, we'll just let you know that we're here. Questions. And this is the coolest thing about it, right? You have somebody paying you $20 a month that is a lead for you. Because if that person actually calls you or sets up a virtual visit and they use your service, it's because they're hurting and they're going to need to use one of your services, and you just have to give them a 25% discount on it. But remember, you've been getting $20 maybe for a year. So that 20% discount does it really actually hurt? And you didn't have to actually pay to get them as a lead. So how much did it cost you to get a lead? You start adding that up. They're actually paying you to be a lead. So that is a great way to maximize your profit potential in your practice. And it helps you retain your current patients, right? I mean, it's just another way for you to offer value to your customers, another way for you to stand out. And again, remember, you're on their phone. And anytime you can be on their phone, that's a good thing, right? You know, it's kind of creepy if you text somebody out of the blue and they don't recognize the number. So that's another way that you can do it. And again, like I said, here's the billable code number, and that could be wrong for your state or your practice, but that's the code that I found said that it was billable. But you'd want to look that up if you take insurance. So here's a couple of things I want to show. Shelly's on here. This is one of the offers that she came up with, or her and Jack came up with. That it's, hey, they could actually text this, get the app on their phone, which number one puts you on their phone now. Number two is you have to actually get to set up a 30 or 15. I think this image is old. We actually changed it. It's actually a 15-minute virtual visit. And they receive a $150 credit. Now, we do have a disclaimer that $150 credit only applies to certain services that they offer, which is in the regenerative medicine. But it gets people on the phone. It gives them a new way to communicate with you. It gives you a new way to stand out. And hey, you could take this exact same thing. If you're currently doing presentations right now, all you need to do is add a slide in your presentation and tell everybody this, something along the lines of, hey, I know that you're coming here gathering information. You've probably been to other presentations, or you consider going to other presentations, but I want to make an offer to you right now. And it's download this application to your phone, pull your phone out right now. And if you text that number and you schedule a virtual visit where we can talk about your specific issues, because we can't talk about them now. And if you do that, I will give you and you could say $500. If you do that right now and you schedule the visit and you end up using my services, you will get $150, $500, whatever you want to apply. It could be any amount. $500 would probably get somebody like, wow, you know how people are. Saving money is always good, right? And you just add it to your slide. So you know at least if that person left, that you're on their phone. And if you're on their phone and they have connected with your app, you have the ability to text them and say, hey, hopefully you got every your questions asked. Let's get your virtual visit scheduled and get on the phone and find out what we need to do to get you in here and get you well. So that's one of the ways. Here's a way where a doctor, this doctor here is actually a dermatologist, but I do know that there are practices out there that do anti-aging, that do like the PRP and the facials and stuff. So this is a great way for you to add on to your care plans. You have your patients send in pictures before their appointment. You charge them for the appointment if you want, if it's not part of your care plan, or if it's outside of the care plan. This is just an example that I was showing you. But imagine that somebody went to your page and whatever yours would say, and doesn't that look more attractive and look like somebody that's different than your other competitors? It absolutely does. So one of the questions that I get is this question, and I get it all the time, are these platforms, these are the major 3 platforms out there, there are others, are they HIPAA compliant? The short answer is 2 of them yes and 1 of them no. The extended version of that is GoToMeeting is absolutely HIPAA compliant. You can communicate with people on the GoToMeeting, and if you have the proper plan, all you have to do is sign what's called a business associate agreement, and you have to sign it both with Skype or actually Microsoft, and you have to sign it with GoToMeeting. Zoom does not have that feature yet. But this is what I'll say about that. You lose all the other capabilities that I said, because now you can't be on their phone. They can't download anything. You can't text message back and forth to them. Outside of those platforms, they can't send you pictures. You can't send them care plans that you've already created in the platform. It's just not as a connected way for you to do it. But I wanted to answer the question because I do get it, and people are always looking for a way to save money. You could certainly, depending on where your resources are, you could set up these virtual visits. You just lose a whole lot of capabilities. And when I show you the next plan, it costs you more to have those plans than to do the one that I'm going to show you that's better anyway. So hopefully if you had those questions, and hey, again, if you had any more questions that I didn't answer, let me see. Donnie said, can I hear someone? Nope, I can't hear anybody. Let's see. Did anybody have any questions where I'm at here? while I look and see. The sound is still good. Hopefully so. Okay, so this is a question I get a lot, you know, are these compliant? And the answer is yes, as long as you sign the paperwork with these two, and Zoom is currently not HIPAA compliant, but you lose the ability to be on someone's phone and actually charge them a monthly to do it. It's just much cleaner if you're on their phone because you communicate text message. All the information that they communicate back to you in that text message is dumped into a HIPAA compliance that needs actually a CRM that stores their records. In fact, some people use it for their record keeping with all the patients, and they don't even use the virtual aspect of it. So I have a little quick video that I'm going to show that I had one of the girls make for you that give you a quick look at what it looks like. Here's some of the features. So we've got the, well, I didn't put the pricing, I think they got $24.50, and I think this one's like $150 a month. So $24, $25, $50, and $120. I think if you don't have enough money if you can't augment that with one new patient, then we got bigger problems, right? But I wanted to show you, here's a lady. She was gracious enough to put together this 1 little minute video so you can get like a visual of what it looks like. So I'm gonna let her take over from here.
Hi, my name's Jessica. I'm in sales here at Spruce. This quick demo video is showing you how you can do video telemedicine through Spruce. On the left, you see a laptop computer, and we're just on any web browser, and that's the provider or the care team. On the right, you see a cell phone. Picture that cell phone being one of your patients. So to activate, you're going to click on the patient and just click on the icon for the video calling in the upper right corner, and it's now going to call the patient. She'll get an app alert that we're calling, and then it will actually show an icon or a photo of the provider, and then the patient can just answer it. Then they're connected on a two-way video call. As you can see, they're clearly seeing each other, and they can also flip the camera around if needed. And then once the call ends, you're gonna actually be able to document exactly how long the video call was, and it's there for your.
Okay, so hopefully she did a good job and you could hear it. Hopefully, were you able to hear that? At least that's just let me know, and I wasn't just sitting there in silence. Because on my side, I couldn't hear it. So if you can just pop a 1 in there too, Donnie, it'll be fine. Number 1 would be good. Okay, great. Thank you, Shelly. And then actually, Shelly Dranko, if you have any questions about it, you could feel free to reach out to her. They actually have implemented this in their practice, and we're just rolling it out right now. But I wanted to show you, this is one of the widgets that they add. A widget is just when they add it to your website and they put it in the bottom corner, you know, like a help thing. Here's some of the things that it would look like if somebody clicked on it. They could text them, they could schedule an appointment, they could ask anything, or be seen right now. So that's kind of what it would look like, the widget that would be added to your page. Let's see, Dr. Segura says, if I use Spruce, they are not a patient yet, that I am filing health insurance as the day of their initial consult. If I haven't redeemed billable services, would think HIPAA would not be relevant until I engage in billable. Yes, I think, yeah, you'd definitely be better equipped to answer that question. And thank you for asking that question, Dr. Segura. I think the reason that I showed these other platforms is not to discourage anybody from using them, and not to advocate for Spruce. I'm not here to sell either one of those. I'm just here to offer information. It was to show you that there is a huge difference between having someone through a Skype and go-to meeting or a Zoom or even through your iPhone, Facebook, or FaceTime. The huge difference is that you actually are able to be on their phone. You can't be on their phone. Skype can be on their phone, and Zoom can be on their phone, and go-to meeting can be on their phone. But and actually, Skype does have some of the capabilities that you can text message in, but you can't store on your end. You can actually go into Spruce, and some of the things that they can do is they can store actually workflow automations inside of there. They can integrate it with your phone system. You could customize your onboarding process. So maybe if you're, for example, if you had a care plan that you put together and you get off the phone, or while you're on there, you can actually text it right inside of the Spruce app, and they can open it up and already have those things. And you may be able to do those things inside of.
Hi, my name.
inside of Skype, but you can't put this on your website if you don't have Skype. And for the amount that it's $50 a month, it's always about optics too. It's always right. It's perception of yours is more valuable than, hey, do a Skype or do a Zoom or do a GoToMeeting. Like you actually have your own phone application that you can do that. But like I said, I'm not here to advocate for one or the other. Let's see, you ask, what is the difference in pricing between Spruce, Skype, and GoToMeeting? That's a good question. It depends on how many users. I put those up there for you to look into. Again, I'm not advocating for any one of those. It's just more for you to gather information. But I did speak with Spruce, and they're offering a special specifically for the people on this call that they would give 20% off the first year of service, which is a pretty good discount. And if that's something you want, just you can connect with me at randallchestnut.com, or you can message me on Facebook. It's spelled CHESNUTT, no T in the middle, 2 at the end. I always say a little in the middle, but I got much back. Yeah, but I would say GoToMeeting is going to be a little bit more than the $25 or the $50. And remember, you're losing capabilities on one end to gain another on the other. So you got to match up. What are your goals? So here's some of the things that you'll want to consider, and when you're deciding on this, not just you, Dr. Segura, but everybody. Number one, you need to consider, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? If you're wanting to get virtual medicine or offer that, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? You're trying to improve access, attract new patients, decrease your no-show rate? Are you trying to create new forms of revenue, right? Some of those things you won't be able to, or you'll have a much tougher time on selling it if you're using different things. So for example, if you're trying to create a monthly residual, for example, think to yourself, which one would seem more valuable to them? Them having a phone application that's specifically you, that's directly communicating with you, or having a Skype or a GoToMeeting on their phone. All of these things are things that you need to consider what you want to do, and then match up and certainly gather more information that I couldn't give you in this short 1-hour video. You need to also consider the target patient population. Who are you targeting? Are you targeting people who live in remote areas? And then you got to consider, well, anything that's halfway technological. The more that they have to rely on technology, the harder it's going to be, the more resistance is going to be put up. So is it easier for them to click a button and download it on their phone and that's it? Or is it harder for them to go to a website, download this, click this, create an account, and do that with Skype, GoToMeeting, and all those, and then deal with maybe the possibility that their computer isn't set up to, I think it's Citrix with GoToMeeting, and Zoom does the same thing too, and they not know what button. So you consider what age population you're dealing with. People who have chronic conditions, people who maybe can't come to your office, that you maybe are going to have to come up with something that you can help them with. Imagine this. Think about this. If you were working with somebody who was in a rural area and they just couldn't make it in, and you were able to do a virtual visit with them, and they found out, and you found out that, look, I can help you with that knee. Let's say it's in both of their knees, and they refused medication, they refused surgery, and the only option for them is they want to try stem cells, but they just can't make it, and they haven't been able to be educated. You educated them in your virtual visit, and you know that they are an hour away from you, and you go on to Uber, and you find out that Uber each way is $100. So you're saying, okay, well, if you sign up, I'll pay for you there and back. Would that be valuable for you to implement? Heck yeah. If you're getting $8,500, what's $200 if you get somebody to do it? And that's a patient, just another way that you can offer services. Shelly says you can communicate to patients and prospects through the Spruce app on your cell phone anywhere in the world at any time. The number they see is your phone, or your office phone. So again, Shelly is using it, and she's an advocate for it. Again, I'm here just to offer information for people who are considering adding it as a benefit. And the third thing is you need to determine, which we're talking about, which platform will meet all of those needs. You got to consider, what are your resources? Hey, if you don't have enough money, maybe wherever you are in your practice world, everybody's been there, so it doesn't matter. You have to determine what your resources are, what compliant, if it's compliant with your state, or if it just meets your own personal compliancy. If you would just feel much more secure if it was integrated platforms, for example, that everything was integrated and you just felt more comfortable. And staff, this is a huge part of your practice, right? That practice runs smoothly or not smoothly based on who's running that practice from the desk. And that person has to be on board. So if you're considering virtual medicine, I would get them involved in the conversation early. Ask them some things because they're going to be the ones, telling people about this. They're going to be the ones showing people how to do this. So you want to at least involve them in the conversation. And then the last thing is determine how you're going to market it. And there's the sky's the limit. It's creative. And how limited are you in the creativity of the way that you could use it? From creating memberships to adding it to your current care plans or chronic plans, to creating new plans that are specifically for that. Maybe you help people with their diets or different types of things. And to also adding it as a bookend to, hey, now they feel 100% fine and they're going to walk out your door. You can just add it on as, hey, let's keep this $20 a month thing. So you'll want to consider how you can market it. And all of these things are the three major things that you want to consider when you do it. So I want to sum it all up in the three takeaways. First one is connection is the number one reason why you want to do this. If anything else, look at how is it going to build a connection, a stronger connection, not only with your previous customers, but a new connection with new people who are adopting this virtual medicine every day. If they have insurance, their insurance has already told them about it, and they may have already done it themselves, so they're already adopting it. And medicine is changing at a drastic pace. And again, if you get in early, it's like everything else. You get on Facebook early in market, you get on YouTube and early in market, you get in email marketing, all of those things. So getting in early, but remember, this is the number one thing why you want to do it. It's not a replacement for your hands-on or care. So it just augments a way for you to connect with people. That's the number one reason. And it helps you stand out. I mean, come on. Like, if everybody's doing the same thing, you have to figure out how do you do something that's different and stand out, or do it in a different way that answers a problem that people may have. And remember, we said the major reason that people don't show up for appointments, and I mean, they don't show up for those talks either, that you have these elaborate dinners scheduled for them, and that's inconvenient. So you solve that problem for them as well. If you get good at solving problems, you always have money. And the last thing is virtual medicine is a great way to generate new patients and more revenue. Anything that you ever decided to do in life, you have to commit. When you decided you were going to be a chiropractor, you already knew that for 4 years, they were going to own you. You knew all that. You heard the stories before you went to school. You knew that you were going to have to commit to 4 years of brutal punishment, and you were going to have to consistently show up to class. And if you wanted to pass, you had to give it 100%. And this is no different. If you decide that you want to do virtual or telemedicine, you have to commit to it. Do all the research, exactly what you want to do with it, and then be consistent with it and go in at 100%. And if you do those three things, you always get a return. And I want to close with this. Since we were talking about no-show, I've been told, and I've done literally hundreds and hundreds of presentations. And there's only two things that people remember about a presentation: the opener and the closer. So hopefully I did a decent job on the closer, but this guy's going to help on the opener, and this guy's going to help me do a closeout on it. And it's a quick, funny video. So enjoy.
I have a question. Your cell phone rings and you don't recognize the number. What do you do? Ignore it. Don't answer it. Not me. I like life. The other day, my cell phone rang 917. That's a New York number. I didn't know who it was. I picked it up anyway. I hit talk. I said, hello. Guy on the line goes, hey, Bruce, what's going on? My name's Jay, not Bruce. So I said, nothing much, man. What's going on with you? And he said, I'll tell you what's going on. I just got an email about the budget. It's supposed to be $15,000. Now it's $10,000. And I'd like to know what's up. I got excited in my chest. I grabbed the steering wheel. I was like, okay, focus. Your name is Bruce. There's a budget. It was $15,000. Now it's $10,000. No one's happy about it. That's all we know. That's all we know. So I just repeated back to him what he said to me. And I go, 10,000 is supposed to be 15,000. He goes, yeah, I know. Well, I just got an email, and now it's 10. I go, listen, man, I don't know what to tell you. I've been on the road all day. I haven't even seen it. And he goes, did you send this out? I'm giving some attitude to Bruce. I didn't like it. I said, listen, man, the budget was $15,000. We had a couple extra expenditures. It went up to $16,200. I reworked it, got it down to $14,700. I had $300 to play with, so I called it $15,000, and I sent it out. And he goes, yeah, well, now it's 10, man. And I was like, oh, my God, that worked. That worked. Phase 1 complete. Phase 1 complete. Like, now I'm in the door. I have a 401k. I was at the Christmas party, okay? So he goes, did Larry okay this? I go, listen, man, I took the budget to Larry. Larry said it looked fine, but I knew it was my ass on the line, so I ran it by Jennifer, just in case, just to double check. Jennifer said it looked good. I sent it out. He goes, yeah, well, now it's 10, man. And I realized this guy has no idea what's going on over there. He hasn't talked to Larry. I know he hasn't talked to Bruce. He doesn't even recognize my voice. I know he didn't talk to Jennifer. I just made her up. So he goes, listen, man, what are we going to do about this? And I go, listen, I'm on the road right now. I haven't even seen the email. Why don't you give Larry a call, check in with him, see what he says, call me back. Just praying he will, because that return phone call was going to be amazing. And he goes, you know what? Why don't wait till you get home, you check the email, you call Larry, you call me back. And I go, nah, bro. Larry knows way more about this than I do. Give him a call me back. He goes, okay, hangs up the phone. To which I explode with euphoria. Because there's a small business in New York that is crumbling to the ground. Over $5,000, and nobody can find Jennifer. They're looking. They're looking. I get home, I'm so excited, I take out my cell phone, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to save that guy's number, give him a call in a couple days, touch base, you know what I mean, check in. See where we're at, you know? So I save it in my phone under random guy. That's what he is, he's a random guy. 4 or 5 days pass, I forget about it. Laying on my couch, watching the ball game, phone rings on the dining room table. I get up, watching the game, grab the phone, watching the game, look down, random guy. But it's been a couple days, you know what I mean? So I'm like, random guy? Who's random guy? Like, who would even have random guy as their name that comes up? And then I was like, random guy! Like, now I'm panicked, you know what I mean? People's lives have been affected. It's only $5,000, but I don't know how big that company is. But I'm addicted to it. You know what I mean? I started this thing, I need to see it through. So I put my earbuds in, just get a little distance, you know, just get a little space. And I hit talk. Same guy goes, hey Larry, what's going on? Yeah, now he's calling me Larry. He knows something's up, but I'm not about to back down. I go, nothing much, man, what's going on with you? And he goes, well, I got us on conference call with Janelle and Marie. And I was like, okay, here we go, here we go. This is why we play the game, you guys. This is why we play the game. So I go, welcome to the call, ladies, as if to say, welcome to the show. You know what I mean? Here we go. Marie takes the lead. She goes, hey, Larry, what time is it where you are? I live in L.A., they're in New York, it's 5:30, so I go, 8:30. It's 8:30. She goes, really, what's the weather like? And I was like, oh, weather's nice, weather's nice. She goes, you know, this doesn't sound like Larry. And I go, oh, yeah? Who's it sound like? And a random guy chirps him from the back, and he goes, sounds like Bruce! Sounds like Bruce! Like he's going to blow this case wide open. And I go, listen, guys, this isn't Larry, and it isn't Bruce. And Marie goes, who is this? I said, I'm just some guy who had nothing better to do than to mess with you guys. And Marie got pissed. She was not happy. She goes, you understand we're trying to run a business over here? And I was like, yeah, well, I got that from the budget. I just figured it was a business. And she goes, what do you think? This is some kind of joke? And I was like, well, a little bit. Thought it's pretty funny. Pretty funny. And she goes, let me ask you something. And I go, no, you let me ask you something. And she goes, what? And I go, where we at with the budget?
Well, hopefully you found that as entertaining as I did when I initially heard it. That guy was a pretty good, and he was spot on that most of us, when our phone rings, we don't answer it. And that's the same thing with your customers. They don't answer it. Remember, it's inconvenient for them to answer. So I had a question here from Dr. Cehck. He asked, in your experience, Randall, what media works best in advertising, virtual consults, communication leads? Does Facebook AdWords, Instagram, direct mail, etc. work best? That is a great question. And this is what I'll answer this in a couple of ways. Number one, decide who it is that you're going to be communicating with. That's going to be the first thing you need, because that's going to determine which one of those is best. Because I'll give you an example. If it's someone who's above the age of 60 that you're servicing, is a high likelihood that they are not on Facebook, and they're not on, and in some cases, they're not even on the computer at all. You'd be surprised. I mean, I'm always shocked, right? So in that case, direct mail may be a good option, and local newspapers, because my grandmother, we go see her at an old folks home that right down the street. I go see her every day. And we have the paper where she used to live sent to our house, and she always asks us for it, and she reads it. Now, she's a little bit, she wouldn't be a client, but just to let you know, they read those types. So number one is deciding on who it is you're working with. If it's a younger crowd, then it really comes down to knowing where is the attention for your audience. That is the number one thing that you need to determine. Now, if your audience attention is in all of those places, they're Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all of those places, then you need to be there. And then you need to or your marketing team needs to figure out a way to stand out and get those people's attention in a unique way. So that's the first stage of it, is determining, and that will let you know where your audience is and what you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. And based on your resource. I mean, if you have the resources, to do everything, do it all, and do it in a strategic way, and understand that they all need to work and complement one another. So what I mean by that is let's say you sent a mailer out, right? You sent the mailer out, right? Well, on the mailer, you better have a call to action on that mailer and tell them to do something, right? That's why they call it direct response marketing, is because you're sending it directly to them and they need to respond to it, right? So having that call to action, maybe that call to action is text this number, and you'll get the link to download the app, and they download the app, and on your end, lets your system know that Randall just download the app. And what do you want to happen next? Oh, I want him to get a welcome email and say, hey, here's the steps to prepare for your initial visit, right? And it may trigger your front desk again. Why your front desk is so crucial for them to actually reach out to them and see if they can get them on the phone and say, hey, did you have any trouble downloading the app? Did you need any help getting the app? And if you got them on the phone already, that's really what you wanted. And you have all of their information. And remember, when somebody downloads an app, you have their cell phone number. When somebody calls or gives you a number, that doesn't necessarily mean that number is actually a cell phone number, and you currently can't text a non-cellular number. So, so that hopefully that answers your question, and that will dictate which one of those platforms that you will use. But certainly, if you have the budget to do all of them, go do all of them, and then just understand the delivery mechanism. And what someone is doing when they go to YouTube is different than what someone is doing when they're on Instagram. And what people are doing on Instagram is different than what they're doing on LinkedIn. And what somebody's doing on LinkedIn is different than what they went to YouTube. right? So understand all of those may require that you create different types of campaigns. That YouTube, you may have to actually go create a specific video that runs on YouTube. If you're running it on Facebook, you may want to have an article that backs it up that you drive them to, and then that article have a lead magnet that leads them into. So it's a little bit strategic in there, and always thinking strategic, just like you do when someone comes in and they say their knee hurts. Well, you know that just because they say their knee hurts, that doesn't actually mean that their knee is causing the problem. So it's understanding where your starting point, who it is that you're dealing with, who it is you're wanting to reach, and where is their attention usually. And then building a campaign that addresses and goes directly to them on there that gets their attention. Because remember, everybody wants their attention, including all your competitors. And if your competitors, if you look around and your competitors don't have a virtual anything, or they're not talking about it, that is a way for you to stand out. So if you could never imagine anything, if somebody asks you the hardest question for most people to answer, what makes you different? And it not be, I'm honest, I graduated with honors, or I'm trustworthy, we have good
Hey, take care.
all of those things you shouldn't have. You shouldn't be in business if you're not trustworthy and you're not honest. So that isn't a reason. But now, if you have this, you can say, oh, well, we have a virtual application where we actually, give people the ability to communicate with us. Maybe if you're at home and you've hurt your knee or your back and you just can't get out of bed, you have the ability to communicate with us. That's one of the things that makes us different. You see how easy that was? Do I have any more questions? I know I went a little bit over. We're 5-6 minutes over. We started a little bit late so we could get everybody on. So we're right at the 1 hour mark. If you have any questions, put them in there. Is this recorded? Yes, we will be getting that out. If you want a copy of this and kind of revisit it, you can see Elizabeth, she's on here. She'll make sure that you can get a copy of this recording, and I think she actually sends it out in an email blast if you're on the email. And I want to close with this final thought. Let's see here. Came in late. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally understand. That's why we record it. We don't expect people to drop everything to come see Randall Chestnut show. I want to close it out with this. If you are an integrated, which it looked like I did, if you're an integrated practice, and I'm just sharing what I see, because I'm seeing a lot of people doing this, is if you're not building a care plan that number one doesn't augment what you're fixing. So if it's a knee, right? Say for example, it's a knee. If you're not building a care plan in there that includes laser, wave, shock, pulse, knee on track, you might want to look into those options. I know that the knee on track with Ergo-Flex technology, it is the only one, and I can't find anywhere else that the knee decompression and traction, a piece of equipment that does that. And it's a really good piece of equipment, especially when you're wanting to give the shots and and I'm not even going to say the synovial fluids, and you do that. It makes it so much easier. More importantly than that, the pieces of equipment, the 3 pieces of equipment they have can all be handled by your staff, which frees you up to work on other things like virtual visits to generate more business that come in for the injection that you put on the plan that your staff, because your staff, believe it or not, your staff wants to be busy because they get bored when no one's in there, right? So it'd be nice. People come in, you put them on the back on track or the knee on track, you put them on the oxygen, you move them to your pulse, whatever whatever other lasers or whatever you have. They come in, and maybe on the way out, you say hi to them, or you ask them how they're feeling or whatever, and they leave and they feel like you got it. And you could charge twice as much as the person who isn't doing that. And if you are interested in any of the equipment, or if you haven't already bought the equipment, you'd want to reach out to Ergo-Flex, because their equipment is top notch, and it helps grow your practice because it's automated, which doesn't require that you actually have to do it. It's easy for your staff to work this equipment. And it doesn't require that they take hours and hours of training, and then that you are not trusting that they're going to put them on properly. It made it super easy. The equipment looks unassuming for a reason, because they wanted to make sure that your staff felt confident, and that you felt confident when you put a patient on there that they were going to not be put in a compromising situation. So if I don't have any more questions, remember, you could always reach out to me. You can go to randallchestnut.com. You can schedule an appointment there. If you were interested in the Spruce app, I could connect you with one of the people over there to be happy to help you. And if you want to talk with somebody who's actually using it or just started using it, let me know and I'll connect you with somebody there. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today on the webinar today, and hopefully you got value from it.